What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and this Marvel Avengers video. I've been getting a lot of requests to do a build guide, so here it is. This is my heroic melee Thor build. This build is designed for insane wave clear and quick recovery of heroics while being able to deal insane damage to a single target with your melee abilities. But before we get into the guide, if you're looking for more Marvel Avengers tips, lore, and builds, make sure to like and subscribe and check out the playlist in the card above. With that said, let's get into the guide. Alright, now I'm going to assume you've already hit level 50 and all of these primary skill trees are unlocked and ready to go. For the purposes of this guide, we're going to focus on your 4 core stats as well as the specialty and mastery trees. Now, while your gear is really going to be RNG based, what you're going to want to do is make sure you have a higher melee rating than you do ranged, meaning more might, less precision. Valor and proficiency help both of those stats, so that's not going to matter too much. And since you're going to be more on the front lines after you burn all your heroics, you're going to want a decent defensive rating so that after you clear all of the smaller mobs, you're going to be able to handle those adaptoids and exosuits with little to no problem. And you definitely won't get one shot. The core of this build is going to be in the heroic rating. So I want you guys to focus on your Valor rating. This Valor rating, if it's high enough, is going to really turn up the power and damage of your heroic abilities. Alright, so now let's get into the meat of this guide. Once again, I'm going to assume you're level 50 and you've got everything unlocked. All of these things are there and ready to go, and we're just focused on these specific skills that we're going to be talking about. So let's get into it, starting with Ymir's Wrath. Ymir's Wrath? Yeah, anyways. This is going to give your nearby teammates a 25% damage boost in the area of effectiveness for your Warrior's Fury. This is going to help get them started on defeating those bigger mobs while you clear out the small waves. Next, we've got Asgard's Fortune, where enemies defeated while Warrior's Fury is active have a 50% chance to drop heroic orbs. This is going to help you pump out those heroic abilities more and more, so make sure you got this one going. Moving into your Assault heroic abilities, you're going to want Thunderstorm. This allows you to stack 3 charges of God Blast. While you do lose the crowd control effect ability and the added cryo damage, this does allow you to do increased and insane amounts of shock damage, allowing for more critical hits on all of the enemies that are in that range and affected, if they're not already dead, that is. Next, we've got Rolling Thunder. This is going to refund 5% of your Assault heroic energy when you defeat enemies using God Blast. Now, let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure this stacks per enemy defeated by a single God Blast. So if you take out 3 enemies, you will get 15% of your Assault heroic energy refunded to you. Now, moving into your ultimate heroic, Muskelheim's Torment is so freaking good to continue along with our wave clear large area of effect damage build. Muspelheim's Torment leaves a large circle of AoE plasma burn, causing damage to any enemy that steps inside. It also adds the plasma damage effect, where it interrupts and staggers enemies. And once again, we want to make sure we are continuing to drop these abilities as much as possible. We use Invigorating Bifrost. Heroic orbs restore an additional 5% of ultimate energy when we pick them up. Now we're going to move into our masteries: melee, range, intrinsic ability, and intrinsic overcharge. On melee, I use heroic charge so that light and heavy attacks give me a boost to my heroic charge rate, 1.5 and 2.0% respectively. Then I use combo damage. This melee specialization increases damage from combo finishers by 25%. Then I use Heroic Takedown Mastery. While this build doesn't have a lot of stun damage, utilizing your teammate's ability to stun, this will help keep your heroics charged up. Since this build doesn't really focus on ranged abilities, we're going to use the ranged masteries to help increase our ability to do damage up close and personal. Your ranged power attack will emit a series of lightning explosions on impact. And the tooltip does say that this disables the ability to pin combatants, but that's only with your power attack. You can still use your regular throw to lock enemies down. Not only do these lightning explosions interrupt and disable the enemies temporarily, they also apply status effects like Pim, Gamma, or Cosmic. Next up is Guard Breaker. Using your regular ranged attack, this is especially useful for locking down enemies like riot bots who have to be hit with power attacks in order to begin to damage them. Lastly, for ranged, we have a traversal specialization in charged flight. Flying around for a short period of time will generate an electric charge that disperses on impact. This energy explosion has the ability to knock back and interrupt enemies. On our intrinsic abilities, we're going to start with Ionic Bolts. Defeating enemies while your Odin Force is active strikes nearby targets with lightning. This just keeps our theme of large AoE damage bursts. Next is Takedown Charge. This will grant 30 points of intrinsic Odin Force energy, allowing you to boost your armor and damage output with your melee attacks. On this build, I like to use Surging Force to finish up the intrinsic ability tree. This increases the automatic regeneration speed of your intrinsic Odin Force by 12%, once again ensuring maximum damage and efficacy in battle. And lastly, right before we get to see this build in action, is our intrinsic Overcharge tree. Starting with Lightning Field. When overcharged, surrounding enemies will be intermittently struck by lightning. Have you guys noticed a theme with all of the lightning and the extra strikes and the AoE damage? I hope so. Next up, we go with Charged Heroic, increasing heroic energy regeneration when Odin Force is overcharged by 10%. Using all of your heroic abilities will put you into an overcharged state, inherently increasing the ability for you to continue to use those heroics. So you can see why it works well here. And finishing up this part of the build guide, Charging Force. When Odin Force meter is full, it increases the amount of overcharge energy gained by every attack by 20%. This will ensure that your overcharge state stays active longer while in combat and ensures your heroic charge meters are continuing to fill up. And as soon as I pick myself up off the floor here, I activate Warrior's Fury to increase my defense and my teammates' ability to do damage. I then activate all 3 of my God Blasts to apply the shock effect, as well as keep these guys crowd controlled. The shock effect allows me and my teammates both to do increased critical damage, and you'll notice 3 of the enemies are already down. Using these abilities in conjunction will allow you to quickly defeat waves and waves of mobs. And that's not even using my Bifrost, which just now became ready in this fight. I strictly used my melee attacks to help increase my heroic charge rate, and used the takedown finisher on this Dreadbot to grab an extra heroic orb. After the floor is clear, I'll pick up the remaining heroic charge orbs, and you'll notice all of my heroics are charged and ready to go for the next floor. So to close this guide out, I just want to give you guys a fair warning. Spin enemies are the bane of this build. So do your best to take them out of the fight quickly and early. You'll still have use of your stronger, empowered melee attacks, but it'll make it harder to clear large waves. If you enjoyed this guide and want more like it, let me know what hero I should do next in the comments below. And if you want more Marvel Avengers action, be sure to subscribe and like this video. I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For now, stay out of trouble, make good choices, and may the Force be with you. I'll see you guys in the next one.